day 627 off the grid.
And we've just completed our spring equinox recording. And what a location we had this time at Castle Point. See up there, right up on that little balcony of the house there, there's our setup. The zoom button on this camera is long since jammed up, so we'll have to go up there through the magic of television to get a better view. But what we can do is pan around. Look, there's the top of the Castle Point lighthouse. Alright, now for the magic. And here we are at the top from the inside, looking out. Wonderful views of the lighthouse. You can even see the muggles going up there. Wonderful views. But here we are on the deck. This is the deck, and here's our setup. So here's Baffy's base, Ibanez sound gear, of course. Some comfy seats we bought up. Here's of course the Pentatune Mini GAT of undeterminable brand, probably made in Chingchong, China. With of course the Ready Ace Classic .96mm full plastic jacket pick, probably also made in Chingchong, China. Anyway, so what have we got out here? Well, we'll go back inside. Here's the computer setup. Here's the Asus E running Audacity as usual. Nice big thick track for the bass, little skinny one for the guitars. Always the way to get the proper monitoring levels. As you can see, I've tucked this in just on the indoors here. And the sound card is just sitting down here on the floor, as is my amp plug and Baffy's amp plug. I explained about that on last night's sort of recording slash rehearsals about the Vox amp plug, so I don't need to go into that now. What else we got? Well, we've got the double adapter, which we bought last year coming through to Castle Point for the winter solstice, and that's all we bought this time. That's all we need. One plug for the computer, one plug for the speakers. We always like to use cords and stuff that are local to the place we're staying at, and here we go. 118 Jetty Road, Castle Point. Extension cord. Wow, extension cords, eh? But this is the sort of the radicalised bit. So we've got the computer in here, and luckily we bought a really long RCA lead that we were going to use with the DVD player, but we didn't need to use it here because there was already one with the TV down here. So we ran all the way out here to the LV pin. So it's sitting out here because these speaker leads are relatively short. Not quite that short, but you know, not that long. So with this long RCA lead here, this one here, was able to get a nice long connection to our speakers. Luckily the power supply with its Euro lead and its internal output lead was long enough to also function as a kind of extension. So that's basically that really. Seen this speaker before, a Sharp speaker that I rescued from the recycle sort of area in Foxton Beach a while back, and it's proven to be a really good speaker for Baffy, better than the original JBLs we had, because it's just got more bass extension. Not surprising really, because it's a bigger speaker. I mean, you know, you don't get something for nothing. Bigger speaker, more bass, and this has really improved clarity for her. But I've got a new speaker too, which you would have seen briefly on the video I did on the Eve, but here it is. It's an Akai. It would have been one side of a Ghetto Blaster, you see. Mavtech was having a bit of a clean out and this was going to be chucked, so I thought, you know what, I think that would be good for Beltane. So I took it home, tried it out. The wires don't have any polarity markings, so well, they do, but very faint, and it's not really determinable which one is really positive, so I had to phase the speakers and hooked it up, and it works really well. I didn't have any RCA plugs to wire on. I had a mini jack, so I've just put a mini jack on the end for now and just run it for an adapter. even though the LV pin does in fact have those quick disconnect things with the spring connectors and you can just use bare wires, I really don't like that in the field because you can only plug into them so many times before the end of the wire gets munted and you've got to restrip it, and it might break off in an inconvenient time. So I much prefer using the connectors. We began with RCA connectors purely because that was what was on the original JBLs we used to use. But getting back to the Akai, yeah, it's better than the JBL because it's voiced better for a guitar tone, so it's more satisfying to play guitar through it, but it's still got enough high end to hear the cymbals, because obviously the drums come through these as well as our instruments. So yeah, it's just as good for hearing the drums, but it's voiced better for the guitar, so the guitar sounds nicer through it. It sounds more like a real guitar amp, whereas those JBLs were kind of sort of hi-fi, but a bit exaggerated in the top and lower end, sort of a bit of mid sucked out, which is kind of completely opposite of what you want for guitar. Sound really good with techno, of course, but we're not listening to techno here, we're playing guitar, even if it is a techno track, which of course today wasn't, in fact, with the ineffable Mark Dumanowski's very metal drums, and of course the whiskey. It helps. In this case it is some McClelland's Highland single malt whiskey. Yes, I went and bought a single malt special whiskey for a special time. Oh, delicious. I mean, on the surface, of course, whiskey's whiskey, really. I mean, some of the cheaper ones are a bit harsher than some of the slightly better ones, but it doesn't really matter once you pour it into a cup of coffee. But I don't know, if you're into tasting those subtle after flavours and stuff, single malt's really good. But this was a Highland one, and so there's some other regions, of course, from Scotland to try, and plenty of distilleries, but that's whiskey, eh, you know. Yep, sort of becoming quite the whiskey fan. Right. So, I mean, this is it really, isn't it? Here we are. Will we go up to the lighthouse tonight for light up? Not sure if we will, actually, because it's such an awesome spot here. And we should be able to see the Tideland beacon from here too, at least the sort of loom of it, so that'll give us an idea of when the main light's about to come on. So that would be kind of cool to see it from here, I think. Yeah. But there we have it. So I won't say that's the final video I'm going to make of day 627 off the grid, but that's it for our setup. And yeah, and if you like our music, then I think this song will be completed and released by the summer solstice, which is of course our summer solstice in December, which means we'll probably release this track around about December 19th. I think this one we will work with in the season. I don't think we're going to sit on it like we did with the winter solstice track, which incidentally haven't done a single thing with apart from hastily get the tracks off the E just the other day before coming here. But, you know, good things take time, I suppose. But like this stuff, eh? Cheers.